The old Soviet-era apartment building stands quietly beneath the grey, cloudy sky. Raindrops slide down the windows as the distant sounds of the city drift softly through the air. Marty lived in a very ordinary world. Outside his window stood endless grey apartment buildings beneath a cloudy sky. Most days felt exactly the same. One rainy afternoon, he sat at his desk, absent-mindedly spinning a pen in his hand. Beside his textbook rested an old photograph of his parents. Marty looked at their smiling faces and quietly sighed. Feeling restless, he stood up and wandered around his small room. Soon, he stopped in front of a large wooden bookcase filled with dusty old books. As he ran his fingers along the shelves, he discovered something hidden in the darkest corner. It was a thick, black book unlike any he had ever seen. There was no title on the cover, only a strange tree with tangled roots carved into the leather. Curious, Marty carried the book to his bed and opened the metal clasp. Click. The first page was blank. Then, a warm breeze drifted out from inside. Marty turned another page. Suddenly, a bright blue light appeared. Glowing letters began swirling through the air, growing brighter every second. The room slowly faded around him. A magical whirlwind surrounded him. Marty closed his eyes, and a moment later, the mysterious book carried him into a world of magic and wonder. Marty landed softly on a field of purple sand. It felt warm beneath his hands. When he touched it, the tiny grains made a delicate sound, like distant silver bells. Slowly, he stood up and looked around. The sky above him was bright orange, filled with fluffy pink clouds drifting across the horizon. Strange crystal trees stretched toward the sky. Some looked like giant glass lollipops, while others sparkled like precious gems. Everything glowed with color and life. Even Marty's old grey sweatshirt seemed different here. A faint neon glow shimmered along its edges. Then he heard laughter. It floated through the air like music. Curious, Marty stepped behind a large turquoise crystal and carefully peeked around it. On a nearby meadow, a group of colourful children were playing together. One was bright electric blue, another glowed with vivid orange light, a third shone in neon green. Their hair floated above their heads like tiny glowing clouds. They laughed, chased one another, and tossed balls made entirely of light. Marty watched in amazement. At the centre of the group stood the brightest child of all, a glowing yellow boy. He shone like a little sun. Wherever he laughed, colourful flowers opened around him. But suddenly, the yellow boy stopped running. He looked down at his hands. Something was wrong. The bright glow in his palms began to fade. Small patches of grey spread across his skin. The other children froze. Their glowing balls of light disappeared. In a world made of colours, grey was a sign of great danger. The greyness continued spreading up the yellow boy's arms. Even the ground beneath his feet slowly began losing its colour. Watching from behind the crystal, Marty felt a strange ache in his chest. The fading colours reminded him of his own grey world. Without thinking, he stepped out from his hiding place. The colourful children immediately turned toward him. They stared at the grey boy from another world. The neon green boy quickly stepped in front of the yellow boy. Marty stopped and slowly reached into the pocket of his sweatshirt. The children watched nervously, but Marty only pulled out a small, slightly crumpled photograph. It was a picture of his parents. Carefully, he handed it to the yellow boy. The child studied the photograph with wide, glowing eyes. He saw sadness in it, but he also saw love. As his fingers touched the picture, the greyness on his hand stopped spreading for a moment. A gentle smile appeared on his face. The other children stepped closer. They realized that Marty had not brought the grey sickness. He had brought kindness and the desire to help. Then, the electric blue boy pointed toward distant mountains made of dark crystal. Time was running out. Only one thing could restore the fading light. The lost world paint, hidden deep inside the crystal cave. Marty nodded bravely and placed the photograph back into his pocket. Marty began his journey toward the crystal cave. With every step, the purple sand beneath his feet grew darker. The colourful crystal trees slowly disappeared, replaced by tall, sharp crystals glowing in the distance. Soon, he reached the entrance. The cave was enormous. Its walls were made of black crystal, reflecting the orange light of the sky. From deep inside came a soft melody, like a lonely flute playing in the darkness. Marty looked at the golden sphere in his hand. Its warm light chased away the shadows. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside. Tiny crystals covered the walls, sparkling like stars. Their reflections danced around him as he walked deeper into the cave. Then he entered a vast underground chamber. In the center stood a tall, crystal pillar. Resting on top was a glowing jar filled with every color imaginable. The Lost World paint. Marty took a step forward. Suddenly, a giant figure rose from the shadows. It was the Guardian. Its body was made of swirling, dark mist, and its large blue eyes were filled with sadness. The Guardian moved in front of the pillar and spread its smoky arms. It was protecting the paint. But Marty noticed something. The creature kept looking at the golden sphere with longing. It was not angry. It was lonely. Slowly, Marty placed the sphere on the ground and pulled the old photograph from his pocket. He carefully showed it to the Guardian. The creature leaned closer. Its eyes studied the smiling faces in the picture. A sparkling blue tear rolled down its face. When it touched the ground, a tiny glowing flower appeared. The Guardian understood. Slowly it stepped aside and bowed its head. Marty walked to the crystal pillar and gently picked up the Lost World paint. A stream of colourful light flowed into the Guardian. Its eyes brightened with warmth and happiness. For the first time in a very long time, it was no longer alone. Marty hurried back to the meadow. The yellow boy sat on the purple sand, now almost completely grey. Only a faint glow remained in his eyes. Quickly, Marty opened the jar of Lost World paint. Inside shimmered a warm golden light. He dipped his finger into the magical paint and gently touched the boy's shoulder. Then, he carefully painted a small sun. The moment the drawing was complete, it burst into brilliant golden light. Streams of colour raced across the boy's body. The greyness vanished. His bright yellow glow returned, stronger than ever. The flowers around him opened with cheerful chimes, and colour rushed back into the land. The children cheered and danced with joy. The yellow boy smiled, took Marty's hand, and squeezed it warmly. At that moment, a glowing outline of the magical book appeared in the air. The electric blue boy pointed toward it and waved with a smile. The message was clear. "Come back soon. We'll be waiting for you." Marty opened his eyes and found himself back in his room. The magical book rested quietly in his lap. A faint golden glow still shimmered on his finger. Smiling, he carefully hid the book behind the old encyclopedias. The magic had been real.
Subscribe to the channel for more magical stories.